Minasan konnichiwa und willkommen. And today we're going to talk about another cartoon show from my childhood. But this time we're going to be focusing on Garfield and Friends, known in French, German, Japanese, Spanish, Latino, Italian, Brazilian, Portuguese, and Polish as Garfield e seus amigos, Garfield und seine Freunde, Garfield und Tomodachi, Garfield y sus amigos, Garfield y suoi amici, Garfield y sus amigos, and Garfield Ipsicella, respectively. The series premiered in 1988 and ended in 1994, with the last new episode airing in December that year. Without further ado, let's get this video started. Our first episode that we'll talk about is the Garfield Opera. The episode begins with a montage of typical Garfield hijinks before being interrupted by the Buddy Bears with a serious cultural moment. When the viewer changes the channel to a monster movie, the Buddy Bears promise that the viewer would like it, prompting him to switch back. They then introduce Garfield's First Symphony, which is based on Ponchielli's Dance of the Hours. A stage appears and Floyd appears as the conductor. The show begins with Garfield sleeping but wakes him up at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time, 6:30 a.m. Central Time, much to his annoyance. He tried to go back to sleep, but is disturbed by Odie and Nermal. He decides to go into the kitchen instead. He sees John holding a piece of lettuce and demands for him to make a better breakfast. John then tells Garfield he is too fat and puts him on a diet. Garfield prances away and tries to steal a bone from Odie, failing after a ballet duet. Nermal then appears to gush over how cute he is. Garfield responds with an Egyptian-style dance, where he gives Nermal to Herman Post to ship to Abu Dhabi, which is somewhere in the Middle East, just like Saudi Arabia and Egypt, which are also in the Middle East. While Garfield is outside, he sees Mrs. Ann McPherson, Chairman Undefeated, to make sure your pets are not mistreated. Garfield hatches a plan. He goes into John's closet, uses a corset to appear skinny, and stumbles across Mrs. McPherson. McPherson sees Garfield in his pitiful condition and sings, "You poor cat." She takes him in to John and tells him to feed Garfield, telling him that if he does not, she will call the cops, and cars and men will put him behind bars. John prepares a massive feast and begins feeding Garfield so much that the corset breaks off as he begins to grow continuously. He becomes too big for the stage and the auditorium, and eventually gets to the size where he can stand on the Earth and eat distant planets. Many are shown panicking, including Binky the Clown, Orson, and Roy. Garfield is shown at his regular size as he and the others bow at the end. A very classic episode, and a very important one, because it teaches kids how to be cultured in the art of opera. In the U.S. Acres/Orson's Farm segment, Rainy Day Robot, with his new job of getting water for the farm, Roy orders a robot, voiced by Frank Welker, which can alter the weather. but the robot proves to be a handful as it keeps misunderstanding Roy's commands. Meanwhile, Orson Orsten's brothers steal as much fruits and vegetables as they can. And one of Orsten's brothers is actually voiced by Frank Welker, using his infragable crunk voice. But the brothers' plan to steal those vegetables backfire, because they really got beaten up by those pianos that the robots had sent. And I tell you, that U.S. Acre segment is truly a classic. Now for the second Garfield cartoon, which is the Garfield Rap. Garfield turns on the television set to watch video clips on Meow TV, which is obviously capitalizing on the success of MTV, which was a popular television channel at the time. When Ain't Gonna Be Your Scratching Post by Tina and the Tabbies is performed. Following on schedule, Kenny Catnip, voiced by Greg Berger, introduces the Garfield Rap, which lasts until the end of the episode. And I tell you, the Garfield Rap is like the most ghetto Garfield cartoon in existence. Back when ghetto rap music like Tupac Shakur and Notorious B.I.G. were popular, along with P. Diddy, Coolio, LL Cool J, and Easy Z, or whatever its name. And of course some heavy metal guys like Rob Zombie. But the two major rap stars around that era were Notorious B.I.G. and Tupac Shakur. But all three of these classic cartoons originally aired on CBS in 1992. Yep, 1992. The Garfield Opera first aired on October 24th, 1992. The Garfield Rap on November 7th that year. And Rainy Day Robot on October 3rd, 1992. And yes, Meow TV was obviously a parody of MTV. Okay, that should be enough for the video for today, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. Like, subscribe, comment. And as always, amigos, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen, sayonara, adios, and arrivederci.